Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery, here with a bow hunting tech tip for you. Today we're going to talk about crossbow safety. A lot of deer hunters across the country are using crossbows more and more, so we figured we'd go over some basic safety rules of the crossbow. As with any hunting implement you take out into the woods with you, the first thing you want to make sure is that this thing is in good working order. You're going to want to inspect the limbs, the string, make sure all the bolts are tight, your usual pre-hunt inspection just to make sure this thing's in good working order. This is a Parker Thunderhawk. This is a very common crossbow that we sell at Lancaster Archery. It's got a hand guard up here at the top. You want to make sure that your fingers are always underneath that hand guard when you're using this crossbow. What that's doing is keeping your fingers out of the reach of the rail. This string coming forward can really damage your fingers if they're up in there. So you don't want to ever reach above the hand guard when this crossbow is drawn back. Always keep your hand underneath. The nocks on crossbow bolts can differ widely. There's 4 basic types. The Parker uses what's called the capture knock. You can see this one has like a horseshoe shape. Then you got a half moon, which is another one. You've got a basic flat knock, and then you've got the omni knock. Different crossbows recommend different knocks. It's up to you to figure out which one is used for the crossbow that you have, and make sure that you've got the correct bolt. There's 3 basic ways to cock a crossbow. You can cock it by hand, you can use a cocking device, which is like a hand crank, or you can use what's called a cocking rope. We don't recommend cocking the crossbow by hand because that's a lot of force that you're putting right on your fingers as you're drawing the bow back. Also, it's very easy to get uneven, apply pressure unevenly to the string, so one side is more than the other, and then your string's out of alignment. The cocking devices, if you have one, a hand crank, those work very effectively at getting the string back with minimal effort. And of course, the cocking rope, that's probably what most of you are going to use. So I'll demonstrate how to do that. Every crossbow is going to have some sort of stirrup at the bottom for your foot. Place your foot in the stirrup. Now I'm taking my cocking rope, and at the back end of the stock, many of them are going to have a little notch that's for your cocking rope. You want to make sure your rope sits in that. I'm going to bring my hooks down. Now my hooks are facing up. They're right against the stock of the crossbow. You can see my hand pulls here. I want to make sure that the hooks are against the stock as I pull back. And so I'm just going to stand up, cock the crossbow. On this particular model, when I came back to full draw, it automatically engaged the safety, so the safety is on. So that's taken care of. Now, for all intents and purposes, you want to treat this like a loaded weapon right now. The string is back, there's a lot of force in there, so you only ever want to point this in a safe direction. You don't ever want to reach your hand inside the rail area where the string could catch it. Some common sense things like that. You just want to stay away from that string. If it were to go off, this has an anti-dry fire mechanism on it. Things fail. Others don't have anti-dry fire. Just make sure you're always pointing that in a safe direction. We're going to go to load the crossbow. On this particular type, you can see I've got vanes of 2 different colors, and actually the orange, the odd colored one, Parker has written on there, this vane down. So that tells us that that vane is going to go into the groove in the center of the rail, and I'm going to put it under the bolt holder. I'm going to push it all the way back until that seats nice and snug. You always want to make sure that bolt is as far back as it can go, and when you're hunting, you're going to have to check that periodically because that bolt can work its way out. Just make sure it's seated snugly against the receiver there. A lot of you deer hunters are going to be hunting from tree stands. That's a place for potential accidents with a crossbow or any device. But with a crossbow, what the manufacturers recommend is that this be cocked on the ground. You don't want to be leaning over in your tree stand at 25 feet up trying to cock this crossbow. So the manufacturers recommend cocking it on the ground. However, don't put a bolt in it. And when you pull it up in your tree stand, you're going to want to pull it up from the butt end. That's how you're going to want to pull it up. You don't want to pull it so that the bow is facing up towards you. So when you go up into your tree stand, you can pull it up. Once you're situated and ready to hunt, then you can go ahead and put your bolt in place for the hunt, and you're ready to go. So let's say after the hunt, you're unsuccessful, you don't shoot anything. You've got a cocked crossbow, and it's recommended that you decock it when you're storing it. So what we recommend actually is shooting the crossbow to decock it. You can shoot into a target, or a lot of companies make a small device called a discharge bag. It's basically a small bag target built just for that purpose. So when you can carry it in your truck with you. When you get down, you go back to your truck. Now you can take a bolt, make sure you use a field point, load your crossbow, stand back. It's like any other shooting situation, and the crossbow is now decocked and safe for transport. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can check us out at lancasterarchery.com.